Hello, and welcome to the Thursday Night Kissaten podcast. I'm the host, Cordelia. Today is going to be our part 2 for What Did You Eat Yesterday, as well as a special episode on Boys Love Manga. So let's talk about a little bit about the BL or the Boys Love. If you walk into a bookshop in Japan today, somewhere on the shelves, you are likely to find all kinds of books depicting the romantic and sexual relationships between the different kinds of male characters, who are sometimes beautiful, sometimes stylish, and sometimes just schoolboys. This genre is called Boys Love, commonly abbreviated as BL, which is not just popular in Japan but also really well known by the world. Just like what is recorded in the first episode, also in the first volume of the manga, 外国書店員本田さん, BL has a huge group of fans all around the world, and many of them fly to Japan and go to the local bookstore to buy the BL books, even they're all in Japanese and haven't been translated into English. These male queer stories might be found in the forms of manga or the forms of light novels, or also a style that targeting young adults. If you walk in the bookshops and you pull one of those BL books off the shelf and start reading casually, you may find out that these good-looking boys in the stories somehow do not think themselves as gay, and give the readers from the outside Japan the impression that it is very okay to openly to be gay in Japanese society. But the fact is, BL is not associated with the real LGBT community in Japan. In other words, still it is not that okay to openly to be gay in Japan society. Boys Love, or the BL, is a manga genre that liberates Japanese women to create a world of their own. It is escapism from the social structure. The term boys love emerged in early 1990s in the pop culture, but the material began being created in 1970s as the female writers broke into the male-dominated world of writing manga for girls. So therefore, in BL manga, it is very common to find a male character with a very high social stats who is more often on the side of the bottom and is crazy in love with someone from the middle or lower class. At the very beginning, these stories and settings of the romance relationships between the two beautiful boys actually released the female readers from a very judgmental gaze in the real world from males, at work, at school, on the street, or even on a bus. So create a world like this, free them from the male-dominated society norms of reality. One of the most interesting part of the BL manga is the relationship to the feminism. On one hand, BL has been criticized by some feminist scholars for it patronized the sexual or romantic relationship between the two male characters can sometimes reinforce the norms and the gender role. For example, some critics argue that where the characters takes on a more passive, submissive role, while another takes on a more dominant active role, can be seen as repeating the traditional gender roles and reinforcing the idea that the males would be the dominated one and the woman should be the submissive one. Because in the story of the BL, usually the one on the bottom will be treated as a girl. The beautiful boys equal to a female, feminist side of the coin or in the relationship. But at the same time, on the other hand, however, BL manga has also been praised by some feminist scholars for its ability to offer a space for female readers to explore their own desires and their own sexualities, and also free from the constructure or the traditional gender roles that they haven't been always carried on their shoulders. So in this way, the BL manga can be seen as a form of the feminism resistance, like a space where women or female can explore and challenge gender roles in a way that is not always possible in the real world. So therefore, the fact that the BL manga is created by and for women itself a feminist statement. So by centering the desire and experience of the female readers and the creators, BL mangas challenges the male dominant real norms of the wider manga industry and offers a space for women to express themselves and their desires on their own terms. The space is the key here. So let's take another angle on how the BL mangas challenge the gender roles by emerging a lot of food and food makings in the manga. So as we mentioned in the part 1, that food is a central thing that in many of Yoshinaga-sensei's work, such as the Antique Bakery and What Did You Eat Yesterday. Through all her stories, she was able to explore the complex relationship between food, gender, and also definitely identity. So in the Antique Bakery, for example, the main characters are all males who work in the bakery. The story focuses on their relationships with each other and with their customers, who are many of them are women. Through their interactions, the Yoshinaga-sensei explores the way that which gender roles are constructed and performance in the Japanese society. One way that the food plays a role in these constructions is through the ideas of home cooking. In Japan, at least it's based on my own experience, that home cooking is often seen as a big symbol of the femininity. If you don't know how to cook, if you're female and you don't know how to cook, it's a big no. People judge female can cook or not. A lot of female, before they get married, if they don't know how to cook, they have to pay to go to the cooking classes to prove that they can be a good wife. So the society still expect the females to take on the role of, the primarily cook and caregiver in the families, no matter what. But by featuring the men who work in the bakery and who are skilled at baking and making home cookings, Yoshinaga-sensei definitely challenged these gender norms and shows that cooking and baking can be enjoyed and appreciated by people of all genders. So it's very similar also in the What Did You Eat Yesterday? Food is used to explore the relationship between Shiro and Kenji. Shiro is a lawyer who is passionate about making food, cooking, and often prepares meals for Kenji, his partner. Through their conversations about food, we see how their relationship is built on a very neutral appreciations for food, for good food especially, and a shared desire to create a home together. The home cooking is equal to home. So also but sometimes, the food also serve a source as a tension and conflict in the relationship in the story. There's this thing that Shilo is often very critical of Kenji's eating habits, and which is he seems as very unhealthy and lacking of nutrition. This tension, in my personal opinions, that reflects a larger social expectations around the food and gender, which is the man often expected to eat a huge quantity of meat and drink a lot of alcohol in order to prove that they're in power. So, another side of the food and the gender being explored in the Yoshinaga sensei's work in the manga is the way that which can be expressed the intimacy and affections. We definitely talk about how in the What Did You Eat Yesterday, for example, Shilo often expresses his love for Kenji through the meals to prepare for him. Also very similar in the antique bakery, that the bakery owners express his love for his former lover by baking him a whole special cake. I think the food in the BL manga is important because it can be a powerful tool for expressing the emotions and may be difficult to put into words. And it also highlights the importance of shared experience around the food as a way to creating or maintaining a social bond. This bond that is, between Kenji and Shilo, and also Shilo's good friend Kayuko-san. But, at the same time that I think Yoshinaga sensei also shows the way that with gender norms can be limited, these expressions of intimacy and affections. Even though Shilo tries so hard to prepare the meals and try and deliver his love to Kenji by cooking, but he still have a hard time. He still cannot be open about his sexuality. He still earlier on the manga that he has a problem to hang out with another gay couples with Kenji together. He still doesn't come out at his workplace. It's not only just him, it's actually talking about the limitation of the gender roles. Still, there's a lot of barriers they need to cut, they need to go through, and they need to challenge. It's not that Yoshinaga sensei doesn't want Shilo to challenge, in my own opinion. I think because she might want to leave some space for people to rethink about what is really to be in the LGBT community in Japanese society these days. So I think another interesting part is in Yoshinaga sensei's stories is a way which is used to be challenged not only the traditional role of the gender roles and expectations. In many her stories that she also portrays the male characters who are skilled cooks and take on the traditional feminism roles in the kitchen. I like that part because you see in the What Did You Eat Yesterday, Shilo has the mean cook in his relationship with Kenji and takes a great pride. He takes a pride of his cookery skills. And similar in the antique bakery, the characters, I think the name is Chikake-san, is a talented baker who owns his own pastry shop, right? And then these characters are not only skilled in cooking or baking, but they actually also find the great pleasure and satisfactions in these activities. I think at this point that Yoshinaga sensei trying to argue that we're trying to suggest that in the real life, let's try not to label behaviors or label preference with genders. For examples, I remember at a lunch that I went to, after we ordered the milk tea, one of the person at the desk, they said that they didn't like the milk tea because maybe that's just a flavor only served to males. So therefore the females won't appreciate this kind of flavor. So I stood up. I argued that it's not about gender, it's just about personal preference. Love to cook doesn't mean this person is not man enough. Doesn't like to cook, it doesn't mean this female doesn't love her family enough. But for us in our daily life, it was so easy and so natural just to label genders on every single thing. So of course that Yoshinaga sensei noticed and observed this from the real life, that she had been non-stop challenged in her work that everything can be enjoyed, the preference can be enjoyed by all genders. BL manga started in around the 1970s, but only in 2008 a large number of BL titles were available for loan in the public library in Osaka. Almost at the same time, this female-dominated culture became an ongoing social inclusion policy for LGBT communities in Japan. I definitely have a lot more to say about Yoshinaga sensei's work, about BL. I'm not sure there will be a part 3 for this, but in the future episodes, we will definitely talk more about this inclusiveness that we're trying to seek in the societies. I hope you enjoyed this episode. This episode is edited by Grace and written by me, Cordelia. I'll talk to you soon in our next episode.